AI, artificial intelligence, where is it taking us? Are you one of the millions of people asking that same question? Joining me to give answers to that question is Wesley Paul. He is a senior director in data management at a major company here in the United States, and his work includes overseeing artificial intelligence applications. Wesley Paul, welcome to Brooklyn 45.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Job displacement and economic reality are some of the things I want to talk about that paint a grim picture of artificial intelligence. But let's begin with some positive ways AI makes us more productive at work, at home, at school. What are
Oh,
some of those ways?
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. I'll start at home, right? That's probably one of the things most people can relate to. It can be a simple thing for people to just get some help with just simple questions. I mean, it could be something as small as, what's the weather like? What are the lottery tickets for the day, right? And you could just simply ask your phone, right? Hey phone, can you tell me what the weather is like today? That phone is actually going out, checking the weather live, and presenting it back to you. It could be the same as asking questions for, numbers, or even going into things about history, right? If you wanted to find out things about a historical person or an event, you could just go ahead and just ask the phone to do that. All of that is backed with AI, right? That's just regular day to day for home life. In terms of school, it opens up the ability for students as well as teachers to get additional information very quickly. Um, I remember the days when I had to get an encyclopedia, right? And you had to get the encyclopedias, delivered to your house. And what was the bad thing about the books of encyclopedias, right? They would become out of date. You'd have to get the next year update. And the one thing about books, they're durable, but it's not easy to search for the information, right? It's not easy to cross reference the information. Here's where AI is very powerful for students. It can cross reference many different types of information sources and pull it all together for you in natural language, right? So, therefore, it increases your ability to not only learn more, but to learn quicker, right? In terms of work, AI is becoming very, very efficient in doing things that it would take two, three, four people to do. I was having a conversation this week with another manager, and he was leveraging an AI tool that was actually doing programming, right? So if you could imagine programmers today, they're out there coding, you're getting a coder, you're getting different level sets of coders with different experiences. Um, he was able to bring in and use someone to leverage AI. That AI, given the description of what the task was and what the code was supposed to do, it wrote the code, it tested the code, it created the documentation for the code, and they were now able to implement something in hours that took them days to do with multiple people, right? So, a positive in a view of the organization is increased productivity, and they're able to lower their labor costs, but also improve their efficiency, right? So, in terms of home, school, and work, there's absolutely a place where AI can benefit everyone.
We keep hearing AI, AI, AI. Those two those two vowels, AI. What are some of the AI tools that people ought to be aware of that are AI tools? Earlier, you talked about the phone. What are some others?
Yeah, for AI, the common tools that's out there are pretty much the chat GTP tools, right? A common one is chat GTP. Another one is Google Gemini, right? Another one is Claude. And all of these are just tools that you could download on your phone. You could also access it from the computer, and you simply just ask a question. You chat with it, right? the nice thing about it is you ask natural questions, right? So when you ask natural questions, it's going to come back and give you full answers. There's one thing about AI where they call it, you know, Gen AI or agentic AI, where it can continue the conversation, right? Just like you're talking to a human being. So if you said, I give you a simple question. If I just simply said, "Can you give me the lotto numbers?" It's going to come back and say, "Well, what type of lotto numbers?" And then you say if you say Fantasy Five, then it's going to come back and remember that you said Fantasy Five, and it'll come back and say, "What state do you want that in?" It's almost like having a conversation, right? So those are some of the tools, the main tools. Then there's other tools that you can continue to use, such as Midjourney. Midjourney is a tool that can create graphics and animation. There are also tools that integrate with even, you know, web and Zoom, applications. So at work right now, we have an application, a messaging application, a video application called WebEx, right? Very similar to Zoom. And if you turn on the AI component, right, it's going to record the meeting for you and transcribe it for you. Now, in addition to that, it's going to also go ahead and create a summary, right? And if it's going to analyze a conversation, and if people have action items, it'll generate those action items and just simply present it back to the users in a nice format. These are, again, multiple types of tools that you can use in your day to day.
We often hear about jobs being lost to AI. Talk about some of this, new roles and opportunities that are emerging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things about any type of major disruption, where the labor force is considered, there's a transition from the old way of doing things to the new way of doing things. I remember when we used to have a lot of toll booths, right? And the toll booth you'd have the operators physically be there. You'd stop and pay your toll and move on. For the employees, it was great. They had a job. That's something that they wanted to do. For the drivers, it was a pain. So it's transitioned to Easy Pass, sort of like an automation. No different than maybe having train conductors and then going to automation of train conductors, right? So you're going to lose those jobs there, but you're going to gain other jobs, right? So the thing about AI, what drives AI? More computers, more programmers, people who need to understand how to develop the prompts. People need to understand how to use the new tool. So I'm going to give you a quick analogy, right? So you can have a regular handsaw, right? And a handsaw, you cut a piece of wood, you got to go back and forth. It's a tool. But then what came after that, right? An electric saw. The tool has changed. It made it easier, right? You can do things quicker, right? And then you go on even further. Now you have battery operated saws, right? You still move on to another tool. But the thing that's common about all of those tools is that it's not going to by itself create a table for you, right? You still need that human component to design and have that creativity component to say, I want to create a table with this design, and then use any one of the tools to create it. So that's the difference. So, with AI, yes, you're going to have a difference in how you use the tools, and you're going to have a difference of the person behind the tool. So what's going to change is how you implement the tool, not not necessarily losing the job and losing everything. You still need the human component to create, to understand, and to make some of those final decisions.
I don't know if you are old enough to remember when we wanted to go from point A to point Z.
Mm-hmm,
We
mm-hmm.
still had to walk. And
Yes.
then we moved from walking to using the bicycle to get there. I know
Mm-hmm,
you're seeing lots of kids on the street using these AI bicycles. Correct
mm-hmm.
me, please.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. More so. What you see now is really the autonomous vehicles, right? So, you have Tesla who's leveraging AI to have a car to drive itself. And that's what you're sort of seeing, right? It's akin to what you were saying before. Everyone used to drive a car manually, right? But sort of think about this. Sort of think about this. Think about the capabilities that AI is going to give people who cannot, do some of the things that they were able to do before, right? Um, what if you just can't remember, how to get to a certain place? You can program in GPS and have the car autonomously take you to where you go. What if you're not comfortable driving at night, right? You can have the automation or AI take you to where you want to go and take advantage of that. So, yeah, the younger generation is absolutely going to grow up in this world of AI and they're going to get used to it.
What skills will be most valuable in a future where humans and AI work together?
Yeah, that's a great question. Again, as technology becomes prevalent and grows and changes, skill set also changes, right? So with AI, there's a lot of things that is going to replace in terms of normal day-to-day jobs, right? But one thing that AI can't change is the physical work, right? I can't hire AI to fix your leak that's in the bathroom, right? That's not going to happen. I can't hire AI to change that flat tire on a car, or change the oil on a car, right? Um, these physical things that people are not doing right now are now going to become very important in the future, right? Those are the types of skill sets that is going to be high in demand. Um, every so often, there's something that becomes very popular. People move to that type of labor, that type of service, and then move away from something because it's just now sort of obsolete. That's what's going to happen. That's absolutely what's going to happen. So,
So,
so I would say definitely a lot of physical labor,
yeah.
definitely a lot of the hands-on, definitely a lot of the things that require men and women to build things. Those are the tools, those are the jobs that's going to be high in demand as AI becomes prevalent in the world.
In the world,
In the world.
in this new world, in this new world.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
If you think about all of the, let's say, major revolutions, right? Or, the industrial revolution, right? The technical revolution. This is the next revolution that's coming up. The country that can control AI is going to be the most powerful country. So that's why I say, yes, in the world, absolutely.
We have younger people, we have older people. The younger people, we refer to them as techies. Now,
Mhm.
what should older people be aware of?
Oh, anytime you have new technology, you also have bad actors that's going to take advantage of this technology, right? Um, AI can do things where it can record someone's voice, mimic them, and then be used to do something bad, right? I was talking to another guy a couple of months ago, and his wife got a call. That call had said, "Can you please send me the bank account number?" Right? It wasn't her husband, but it sounded like him. And she went ahead and just did it. 2 days later, most of their money was gone, right? These are the things that older people need to take a look at as technology changes, right? They have to be very aware of the bad actors that are out there. You're going to get scam calls, you're going to get scam emails, you're going to get scam text messages. That's going to be just generated by AI, right? Those are the dangers you really, really need to be aware of as you're an older person. And, this is sometimes not regulated to just age. It's really knowledge, right? You just have to know. The younger generation is going to be more akin to it because, they grew up with it. The older generation, that's not something that they've used often. They just need to be aware.
We are in an age of misinformation as well, as you referred to just now. What
Yes.
advice would you give to people who get all these messages on their cell phones and numbers that they don't recognize?
Mhm.
What advice do you give to people who are who are stuck to these cell phones?
Yeah. Yeah. It's no different than back in the day where they would say, don't open the door unless you know the person, right? Don't speak to the person on the old phone unless you know that person, to give them information unless you know that person. It's no different. It's just a larger scale, right? Don't give a stranger a ride home, right? It's no different. If you see a number that you don't recognize, you block it. All right. If you see an email that looks a little strange, you block it, you delete it. Pick up the phone, call the person, and find out, hey, I just want to confirm, is this you? Right. And just do your due diligence, right? One of the things that bad actors do today, especially for the older community, is they prey on an older person's anxiety, right? They prey on an older person's need to quickly react, right? So my recommendation for when you get these phone calls, when you get these pages, when you get these messages, take a moment, stop, and just verify, validate, call the person, right? You may get something as simple as a call that says, "Hey, Grandpa, I need your help." But take a moment. Well, who's calling? Which one of my grandsons are calling, right? Or they may call and say, "Listen, um, who is this again?" No, 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 no. They're calling you. Who do you want to talk to, right? So you just got to take a moment and double check and don't rush. So the best thing I could say for older people is to get some advice from someone, double check, take your time, and don't rush.
And try not to say the word yes. Very often they ask you, "Can you hear me?" Yes. And I hear that they can use that yes to say that you have said yes to ordering a product.
Probably so for voice recognition. This is all part of AI. This is all part of the dangers, right? Facial recognition, voice recognition, speech patterns, right? We've seen videos of people that look so real and they're saying something and it's not them. These are the dangers, right? This is the bad part about AI. It can be used to create wonderful fake movies, but it can be used to create wonderful fake political statements, right? Very, very dangerous. It's going to be very interesting as we continue to mature in this journey with the development of AI.
Explain deep fakes. We hear a lot about deep fakes.
Yeah, yeah. That's just what we were talking about. So deep fake is where you can really take someone, right? Get a sample of their voice, right? I have different reflections in my voice. I've got a certain tone in my voice. And then if you match it with video, I act a certain way, I move a certain way. If all of those things can be recorded and then given to a script to replay, you can then recreate someone, right? Now, again, it can be used for good, it can be used for bad, right? A great example would be maybe bringing back someone to life, right? You have recordings of their voice. You can have recordings of their speech, transcripts. But what if you can change the transcript, put it back to AI, and have it repeat? That's deep fake, and that's the danger, right? We're used to seeing broadcast on old televisions, and you look at it and you see it's live, and you believe it. Now you can have it all computer generated, and you have to question it, and that's deep fake. So you have to really be careful. So we talked about the new jobs that are coming out. And, when we had this transition to the internet, one of the biggest things that came out was cybersecurity, right? So now you're going to have something very similar with AI. That sort of security is going to be very, very, in demand, right? You're going to need groups of people to go and validate and really see that, really confirm that what's out there is real.
Give an example of an industry or a task that's been fundamentally improved by AI.
Oh, it's probably a few. And it all depends on a point of view of, who's using it. I, it's very simple. So you can go on, if we've ever done any online shopping, let's say if you've done it on Amazon, if you've done it on Facebook, and you did a little query of, for instance, you're shopping for, I don't know, let's say a detergent, and you go back online, you'll notice that you start getting references for other detergents. That's AI from the point of the company that's giving the product, that's selling the product. You go on Macy's online or something, you start searching for watches. The next time you go, it's going to start recommending all these different watches or these different perfumes, right? So from a company perspective, it can now target each individual user depending on what their interests are, what they prefer, their preference, and what they like, right? Now, from a user perspective, how can that help you, right? Um, that can help in many ways, right? So for one thing, one of the things that I've seen is if you're dealing with medication, right? Um, you can order, let's say, Eliquis. I'm going to use Eliquis as an example of blood thinner medication. There are a lot of times when people have multiple medications, right? And there might be another medication that conflicts with that medication, less Eliquis, right? So Celebrex, a pain medication, right? If a different doctor, a pain doctor, gave you Celebrex, but your blood doctor, right, gave you Eliquis, there's a conflict between the two. If those two doctors don't talk to each other, you're going to be taking them. And guess what? It's going to be a danger for the user. But if, right, you got to picture this. If AI is behind and it sees that you're taking these two, it's going to do that comparison and go back to you and say, look, stop taking the Celebrex if you're taking Eliquis because there's a conflict. So from a user point of view, AI is going to go against the data. It's going to see what conflicts with what you're using, and it's going to help you be more informed, right? So two different views from a company perspective, view from a user perspective on if you implement AI, that's one way that it can help you out.
And which are the AI tools that will jump in and let you know you got a problem here?
Yeah, so the thing about the AI tools, it has to be implemented from the companies themselves, right? So there's two ways you can do it. If the company has an app, they're integrating AI within the application themselves. If they don't, then you can just leverage one of the chat groups and ask for itself, right? So you can go in and ask AI. Currently, I'm taking medication A, B, C, and D. Can you please tell me if there's any conflict between the above listed medication? And it's going to go out and check it for you, right? So again, there's two ways. There's one where apps have AI built into it that's integrated and it's very special purpose, or you can leverage a standalone chat and ask it the question directly. So, and those tools would either be, Google Gemini, ChatGTP, or Claude. There's another one called Perplexity too. So any one of those chat groups, chat bots will help.
Now, you talk a lot about these health-related issues with authority. Let our viewers know you work for a health organization. Tell us about it.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Look, a lot of people don't like health organizations. I work for an insurance company, right? And a lot of people don't like insurances because of the cost of insurance, right? But think about an insurance company that's trying to better your own health, right? Try to make things easier for you, right? I'm going to go into one quick scenario where AI can help you when it comes to health, right? So, for instance, You go to one doctor, you get some blood tests, right? And then the blood test gets analyzed by AI, right? You come home, you get your results. Now the doctor can take a look at it, and then you can use, if you're not comfortable with what the doctor says, you can go online and use a chat box and ask about the results, right? You get that response, and if you want to get a follow-up, you can use an app to say, can you schedule me a follow-up with this other doctor? If it's AI enabled, that AI can go ahead and schedule that appointment for the doctor, right? And do it automatically for you. If you don't need, and it could come back and say, well, do you need a ride? And you can say yes. And if the app has an API set up, you can have it schedule an Uber for you, right? And you can just sort of picture what you can do if it's AI as relates to health. And then, oh, if you need any medication, can you please send me some medication from this preferred pharmacy? And I'll go ahead and schedule that for you.
Wesley Paul, you work with AI. You also work with health in health. We want to thank you for being on Brooklyn 45. You have given us so much information. How do people get in touch with you?
They can check me out on LinkedIn. They can check my LinkedIn profile online. That's probably the best way. That's probably the best way. So just look for Joseph Wesley Paul on LinkedIn, and they can reach out and ask me questions there.
Okay, Wesley Paul, thank you very much for being our guest on Brooklyn 45.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
As Wesley Paul said, we live in a life-changing world. We want to thank you, our viewers, for watching this program. We invite you to partner with Brooklyn 45. We are a 501c3 community television program. So when you support us with a donation, you benefit and our communities benefit as well. Please tell your family, your friends, your co-workers to watch Brooklyn 45 programs on cable television and on YouTube. So be a part of what we do. On behalf of our Brooklyn 45 team, I'm Sam Taitt.
Brooklyn 45 is a 501c3 not-for-profit, and we welcome your support. Check out our website, brooklyn45.com, and feel free to donate or share it with your friends and family. Have any comments or questions? Send them to our Facebook, facebook.com/Brooklyn45TV. If you have any questions or topics you think we should cover next, shoot me an email over at brooklyn45tv@gmail.com. Thank you again for watching.